Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second annual Talks a Lot Boys Christmas Special. I am your host. My name is Tyler, and as always, I am joined by the boys. We've got Brennan.
What's going on, folks?
And we've got the dancing king himself, Kyle Steinley.
What's going on, everybody? It's Christmas! Woo! Gotta dance a little. Get a little
real excited to talk about Christmas today, aren't you, Kyle?
Heck yeah, I am, dude. It's the freaking holiday season. It's Christmas, baby. Woo!
If you don't do this for the entire recording, I'll be severely disappointed.
Well, I'm stuck now.
I'm stuck now.
This is great.
So, today, we are continuing our tradition of ranking Christmas-themed things. We started it last year. We ranked all of the best animated Christmas specials, and this year, we are doing all of the live-action Christmas specials. We got some heat last year for only doing the animated ones from a couple people. And, just to be completely, blatant with everyone, we just got to stretch that content out. We needed to save all of the live-action ones for now so that we could have another Christmas special. So, with that being said, we are going to do what we always do here on the show. We're going to rank these things from worst to first. We have 9 movies in question, 9 live-action Christmas specials. The best of the best, arguably, or so people think. We are missing some, because obviously there's a lot of Christmas movies, so we just picked the ones that we are familiar with and that we had frequented. So we are left with these 9 films that we're going to be ranking in order from worst to first. I'm going to list them off in the order that I have them written down, and then we're just going to dive right on into it. So, number 1, we have Elf. Everyone's favorite. Will Ferrell dressed as an elf from Rudolph. It's great. Everyone loves it. Number 2, A Christmas Story. It's a classic for some reason. 3, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Haha, it's a funny one. Chevy Chase before he was old and decrepit. Number 4, The Santa Claus. Remember when Tim Allen wasn't cranky and did kids movies? That was him in his prime. Santa Claus. Only Santa Claus 1. We're not doing the whole trilogy. Home Alone is 4th. It's been a minute since I've seen that one. I'm going to be perfectly honest, but I know it exists and I've seen it, and it was a hoot and a half. Next up, A Muppet Christmas Carol. Arguably the best version of A Christmas Carol ever to be made, because Kermit's in it, and Michael Caine is in it. And what else do you need, really? Next up, the live-action Grinch, which is the 3rd Grinch iteration that exists in modern times, and probably the creepiest one out there. Second to last is Jingle All the Way, starring our good old man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wow. Who is an actor for some reason.
Did you forget?
I wish I would have. And last up is everyone's favorite Christmas movie. This always triggers people when we say this is a Christmas movie. But Die Hard. Die Hard's on the list. It's going up against the best Christmas movies. We're going to determine if it stacks up. So, gentlemen, where do we begin? What is the worst Christmas movie out of all of these movies that I've just listed off?
Could I start you off with an argument? Like an overarching argument? I think a handful of these movies stand out apart from other movies on this list, because in my mind, when I watch a Christmas movie, I'm looking for a movie that's like very Christmassy, like has that magic feel, magic spirit of Christmas and all that. It really gets me going with the magical feel. Some of these movies on this list are movies that take place during Christmas and don't really have that magical feel to them, in my mind.
Such as what?
Such as Jingle All the Way, Home Alone, and Die Hard.
I think of those
Christmas.
3, Home Alone encapsulates Christmas the least. Of those 3.
That's fair. I could agree with that. Unfortunately, I also think it might be the best of those 3 movies. Well, Die Hard's really good too. Die Hard's really good too.
Die Hard is okay. Here's the thing. Die Hard is the best of those three movies by a long shot. Also, it encapsulates the Christmas spirit more than those three. Also, I mean, it's like it has more direct correlations to Christmas.
Does it?
Those other two movies. Well, for one, Jingle All the Way just fucking sucks, and I really just don't want to put it above anything.
I mean,
like, Jingle All the Way. Yeah. I watched that for the first time last night. It took a lot of strength to not turn that movie off halfway through, or a quarter of the way through, or 3/4 of the way through. There were many points that I was just like, I think I get the gist. I don't know if I need to finish this. But I did it. I stuck it out. And you know what? The quality only got worse as the movie progressed.
Dude, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, dude. Come on.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if y'all know this. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a good actor.
What are you talking about?
Be news to some people.
He punches a reindeer. Come on, dude. It's great acting.
Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger fits certain roles. Like, Conan, the Barbarian, makes sense because he's buff and grunts and stuff. The Terminator makes sense because he's like a robot. He's not supposed to be good at acting.
You have been seminated.
A white suburban family's dad.
Yeah.
It misses the mark a little bit. Like, it's just
exactly
every
the
scene
same
where
as
he's
Conan.
trying to be like relatable and whatever, he just comes across as like so fucking weird and creepy. And
I don't know if that's true. Do you have something against Arnold specifically? It really feels like you're not being biased about it.
No, I'm not being biased. I'm just saying I don't know if Arnold was the correct role. I don't know if Arnold was the correct like casting choice for the role.
Who would you have picked over Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Pretty much any other actor who can act.
Damn.
I mean, granted, it did make the movie slightly more entertaining because you just had like Arnold doing Arnold things and saying weird Arnold stuff, which did kind of make me like it more. But it also was just such a bad movie that, like, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack there. There's entire sequences of grown adults just beating the shit out of each other for toys.
Yeah, there is.
And, like, also, like, the writing itself is just, like, really... Like, all the characters are just so, like, insanely stupid. Like, at the end, when he accidentally gets dressed up as the superhero guy, and then he, like, saves his kid, and, like, his wife and his kid don't realize that it's him until he takes the mask off, even though the mask is clear, and you can still see his face perfectly fine, and he still sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, like... It's real obvious that he's the one in the suit, but they're really just like, wow, it's the real guy. Whoa, like the whole time. And it just like, I get it's a kid's movie, but Jesus, if you're gonna like at least make the helmet like a full helmet or something, like you can't tell me that nobody in that scenario, his own wife and child, who know him better than anyone on the planet, don't know what he looks or sounds like with, like, a piece of plastic on the sides of his head.
All right, so listen, right? I hear everything you're saying. I think you bring up some valid arguments. However, he punches a reindeer. He also punches Tiny Santa across the freaking room, which is one of the greatest like wire set rigging things ever. I love it. It's so stupid and it's the best. Also, that whole scene with like the Santas with like the candy cane nunchucks and everything, and like he's fighting them, and he just like that swings the one and hits all of them. Like that's just great. It's great choreography, honestly. Grade A choreography in a Hollywood movie.
Brennan, I need your thoughts on this.
It's not that good of a movie, though. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's just really entertaining, okay? That's what I wanted to say about it. It's really entertaining. I think it really does like have like a very lighthearted Christmas energy about it. Obviously, I don't think it has like the same like magical Christmas energy to it. But as far as like, I think there's like a good balance between like being overly Christmassy and being like kind of like more on the funny side. I think it leans way more into the funny side. But, like, that's a really nice feeling when you have some movies during the Christmas season that are just like, Christmas spirit will save us all. Everyone pray to Christmas. You know, or whatever. Where it's just like, the Christmas energy will save and I'm just like, please be more entertaining than
Yeah,
this.
this one's like corporate greed will save us all. Brennan,
Yes.
I've
Corporate
gone on
greed.
for too long. Where are you at with this gem of a movie?
This movie was one of my favorites back when I was a kid. I mean, it definitely is a kid's movie. I totally get. It cracks me up that you don't like Arnold as like you said a white middle class like family man. It's like, I mean, the guy is white. What do you expect?
Oh, I know. I just meant like I don't know what I meant by that. I guess the white
Just
factor has
cracked me up.
nothing to do with it, but
Really, just the accent that he has is just so striking compared to anyone else.
It's because like everyone else is just so like you have like little Anakin there, and he's like, "Dad, I want an action figure for Christmas." He's like, "I know, son. I will get you the action figure." And it's like, okay, man, this is so wild that you live here and are in this situation.
Because I get like the movie does have a lot of like stupid stuff going on. I really liked it when I was a kid because like, I mean, as I grew older, I realized that like it's kind of like a dad that would do pretty much anything to like get the kid what he wants for Christmas, like make Christmas magical. Like that's really why it's a Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. As far as putting it really above anything else, I feel like that's a challenge. I can't really name any movie off this list that is worse. And I don't think it's a bad movie, but I don't know. This list is kind of loaded.
It's a bad movie, and I want to put it at the bottom.
Brennan, I'm glad you're on my side with this.
Nothing else that
though.
we have said has sold anyone on why this is the worst Christmas movie on here. Just like Google the ending scenes of him on the jetpack. And that's when like the budget's supposed to kick in. That's when the budget just evaporates. It was like they didn't know what the fuck they were like, "Oh, we used up the entire budget casting Arnold Schwarzenegger in this role." And then we forgot that we have a huge special effects thing at the end. What do? We have $4. It's like, well, give it to the intern, he'll make it work. And he didn't. That was probably the worst part of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What's up, Kyle?
I don't know. I'm really glad that we put this on the list because I do think it's a very fun movie. I think there's a lot of like funny, iconic bits in it that are still like kind of referenced a lot today. And the fact that it's on this list, I think it deserves to be here. I was ready to put this at the bottom like immediately. I figured you guys were gonna be down to put it here as well. But I also have like that childhood nostalgia for it. And I still joke at it. I still go, haha, funny, and I'll always respect it. It's a nice little Christmas movie, but it's definitely not better than the other 8 on this list.
Yeah,
I'm all right with this.
Toss that at the bottom right away. You know what I think should be second to last, actually? No. I don't know if this needs to be second to last, but I think there are 2 more that I think deserve to be at the bottom. One, I have a good argument for. The other is a piping hot take that will get me destroyed on every facet of the internet. So I'm going to start with the safe one first. Live action Grinch should be at the bottom solely because, not the very bottom, but like in the bottom of the list, solely because while it's a good movie and while like the practical like makeup and effects and stuff are like really impressive, there are 2 other iterations of the Grinch that exist that are better than it. So like I typically only want to watch the Grinch one time a year, and I don't want to watch the Grinch 3 separate times and 3 separate iterations. And this is the one I always come to the least because I think that I always prefer the original just because I grew up on that shit and I loved it a ton. And it's literally just the poem animated. And then like obviously like the live action one, they tried to flesh it out into like a full on story. And I don't necessarily know if they like landed on a good like a good thing with that. I feel like it's just dragged out way too much. They add in so much stuff that it hardly represents the original. But then they have like the Benedict Cumberbatch one that comes out a few years ago that also does the thing that I didn't like about the live action one, where it stretches it out into a full length movie. But I feel like they actually did the story in a way that time that actually kind of worked as a full-length movie. and it didn't feel like a complete like separation from the original as much. So I don't know. I just think that since it's the worst Grinch, in my opinion, that it should be in the bottom half of the list. Not necessarily next, but at least in the bottom half.
It's a very interesting argument that you bring up, because like in my mind I wasn't even comparing it to the other Grinches, because like we're ranking like live action movies, so I wasn't even considering that aspect of it. But you're not wrong. I never really considered that. And granted, I didn't have it like personally. I wasn't imagining it being like I was expecting it like kind of like middle of the pack, like fifth-ish maybe. Because I mean, it's the Grinch, dude. Like I feel like it really does. Like I think this is one of those movies that finds the balance of those two things I was talking about really well, where like it kind of is the comedy, especially because in the live action they're able to do like a lot more like legitimate physical gags.
Right.
Like when an animated movie does it, it's like, haha, they animated it. But now it's like fucking like it's Jim Carrey like actually doing it, and it's like, and I don't know, it gives like a more like an actual reality to it that like is more like, I don't know, it kind of grabs you more, it catches your attention a little bit more because it's a real person doing it. And that's something I've always kind of like, well, I think I agree with you. It's probably the worst of the three Grinches. Granted, I haven't seen the newest one, I guess, whatever that was. But I heard, you told me it was great. I've heard it's really good. I still prefer like the animated one more, just because I think the biggest point that you made against it that I agree with is that it adds a lot of fluff to it that I don't really think needs to be there.
Yeah.
I even think we talked about that a little bit when we were doing the animated ones, and we were talking about the Grinch. I think we actually talked about how like it is just the poem, and it's like it does what it's there to do. It does it really well, and that's awesome. However, I think like as like a full movie though, like the live action Grinch is like kind of a spectacle, and like one of those things that you just don't see anymore. Like it's kind of like it's almost lightning in a bottle kind of to me. Like you're getting like Jim Carrey like in like his prime-esque, I guess, a little bit. That I guess that's kind of debatable, but and you've got like these incredible like group of people making this movie, like trying to like just go all out, making it look cool, and it looks great. Like
it does. It's like really impressive.
It's wild. I mean, it's kind of creepy. It's kind of off-putting, you know, to see some of those things like realistic with like the prosthetics, but like massively awesome. That kind of like undertaking that whole project was. It's so cool. And it's like I don't like hate the fluff in it, but it definitely, I think I prefer the original, you know? And like the fluff that they do it with it, I think because it's in like a real version of this world that's done really well, is still really fun to watch. I really like it. I feel like I have issues with some other movies more than I have issues with this movie, though, in my mind. Like, I don't think it's the best one on this list, but I definitely think that, like, some of the issues of other movies are just kind of, like, pull it down beneath this to me.
I can agree with that. Brendan, what do you think about this?
I mean, I feel like Jim Carrey's performance in it is enough to maybe put it over another movie or so in this list.
That's fair.
I mean, as far as like the iteration versus iteration argument, I definitely prefer the older one, like the cartoon animated one from like the 60s or something like that. I mean, it's classic Grinch. I mean, pretty much they tell you the story. It's short and sweet, but you know, it's very classic in the holidays.
Right.
I feel like Kyle put it best. This movie is like a spectacle. This movie is like, you know, we have one shot at doing this, so let's make it like the absolute best we can. Even though there's a lot of fluff, there's a lot of extra, there's a lot of, you know, unnecessary stuff, but I mean, a lot of it kind of translates well into the movie, but not necessarily the story of Grinch.
Right.
I mean, it's a solid movie. I don't think it should be too high on the list, but I don't think it should be next to last, although it might end up there.
Do you have any ideas for what might be next?
Oh boy. For some reason I keep coming back to Home Alone. Okay. I know that's a bit of a spicy hot take, but
that's also where I'm going.
Yeah,
and I kind of
can agree with that honestly, because like Kyle said earlier, like I think it doesn't necessarily capture. To be honest, I didn't even remember that was a Christmas movie. Like when you guys said you wanted to put it on the list, I was like, I didn't even associate that movie with Christmas. And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is a Christmas movie. Because I feel like the overall plot could have been done without Christmas even being involved.
Yeah,
you know?
Like the idea of leaving your kids behind as you go somewhere, and then them getting attacked by robbers,
and then them realizing.
Because, like, I mean, if we're all being honest, we remember that movie for the fact that this kid set up the traps.
Yeah.
And the robbers try to get it in, and it's like this crazy cool, like, Rube Goldberg-esque trap thing. Very cool. Another movie that I would say actually is pretty cool, like, on the practical level, like, while we're kind of talking about it. Yeah. Because, like, the fact that they set all these things up to do these things was actually really cool. I actually don't know how much of it is, like, actually practical. I'm assuming all of it was, but it might not have been. Maybe they did some of it, you know, after the fact. But
I'm just amazed that the bad guys were able to take, like, you know, life-threatening injuries and just keep on fucking pushing. Like,
yeah, I'd love to see it behind the scenes of that shit, because, like, I'm wondering, like I said, how much of it was, like, actually real there and how much of it was kind of like a CG thing or whatever. It's an older movie though, so I actually don't know how much they would have done CG. But and then the fact, like, how many of those hits did they actually take? Like, just like some of them are gnarly.
Well, I mean, they probably had like paperweight props, like,
oh yeah,
you know, like I mean, not paperweights like holding paper down, but like shit that's like really light.
Yeah.
And then just add in like the, you know, sound effect afterward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the falls even that they take are really crazy too. But like then again, they do like foam, fake, you know, things all over the place too. Yeah, I mean, it's all
like,
fake. But
that's the thing too. Like half the shit that kid does to them, like would have killed them. Like,
no, right?
He like lights them on fire and shit. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Mythbusters like tested a bunch of them, and like like half of them would have been fatal on impact.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. I mean, but as far as a Christmas movie capturing the Christmas spirit, you know, all that good stuff. I mean, totally misses that mark. But I mean, so I'd have to put it towards the bottom.
Yeah.
So simply based off that.
I think it deserves to be next, honestly. And if I to defend myself on earlier when I said I think Home Alone's the best of the three, I had just forgotten that I had said Die Hard. Die Hard's absolutely the best of those three. I just was like, I was thinking about that. I was like, Home Alone's probably the best. And I was just like, oh shit, wait, Die Hard. So I do think Die Hard's better than it.
Die Hard is better. Die Hard's
Die Hard dunks on Home Alone.
Die Hard dunks on the majority of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As a film, it's the best on this list. Yeah. Even as a Christmas film, it's better than some of them.
We had this happen last year with Klaus. Where you were just like, it's a film, dude. Could you just not believe how good of a film? I stand by that.
Klaus deserved to be higher on the list than it was.
Didn't it get like second or something?
Yeah, I don't know, but it wasn't first, and that was an atrocity.
Anyways,
so I'm gonna fight to get Die Hard as high on this fucking list as I can.
Well, I tell you what, if we're putting Home Alone at 8, I kind of think Die Hard should be next.
No.
I'm just saying. I think it should be 7th.
Why?
And, like, don't get me wrong, when we were coming up with this list of movies, I was the one that was like, we should do Die Hard. And you guys were like, yeah, Die Hard, Christmas movie. And then you watched it and became a fucking Die Hard simp over here.
I had never actually watched the entirety of Die Hard before, and I watched it the other night, and I'm like, this is like one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I've turned you into really the people that most people hate.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. And it's a great Christmas movie.
Yep.
It is the perfect Christmas movie. There's so much Christmas in this happening. As a matter of fact, I felt the Christmas spirit rushing through my veins more while I was watching that movie than I did while I was watching A Christmas Story. But we'll get to that. But, you know, like there's so many good Christmassy bits in Die Hard. Like there's the part where Argyle is driving him and dropping him off and he's playing like the 90s, the 60s, 70s hip hop. I don't know what fucking year it came out. 70s, I think. 80s. I don't know.
88.
He's playing the hip hop
1988
Christmas shit, and he's like, wow, why don't you play some Christmas music? Like, this is Christmas music, man. It's like, that's Christmas. You can't have that in the movie and it's not Christmas, and that's like a pivotal part of the movie. And
you're telling me the one
like,
scene
they're at a Christmas party, which is the crux of the entire reason that he's there, was because it's a Christmas party. Wouldn't make any sense that he was even at the hotel place, business, whatever it was, unless it was a Christmas party. So Christmas is central to the plot, right? And then
This was
Here,
a mistake.
no. If I haven't told you yet, I'll tell you now. Here's the thing. Hans Gruber is played by Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman also played Snape in Harry Potter. Harry Potter is known in universe as the boy who lived. And you know who the boy who lived in our universe was? Jesus Christ. And Christmas is a celebration of his birthday. Therefore, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
That is the most roundabout way.
Isn't Jesus referred to as the one who died for us?
No, but he died and then he lived.
And then he resurrected.
He came back.
Okay, all right, you got me there. However,
this movie has the core of Christmas at its heart.
You spewing about this has made me realize that this whole special was a mistake. We shouldn't have done this. We should have done a music-related thing, a Christmas Carol one, or something. But we're in it now. You're not wrong about anything you said. Unfortunately, these couple things that you mentioned are seconds of this film.
What are you talking about? Hans Gruber is the villain. He's in the whole fucking... He's the point of it.
When I said the points you brought up are good, that was not one of them.
Jesus
Christ. The Hans Gruber thing. That was not a good point.
And that's the true meaning of Christmas.
Well, I mean, Alan Rickman did voice God in a movie called Dogma.
See? Alan
it's all
Rickman
coming together, honestly.
Is God, is like a direct representation of God. Therefore, if we want to keep Christ in Christmas, then we need to defer to this movie being the only example of any of these movies that really just gets directly to the heart of Christmas.
A movie where Bruce Willis kills a bunch of German bad guys is keeping Christ in Christmas.
All right, so Tyler, thank you
100%.
for that. Brennan, what do you think about Die Hard being next on this list? Because it seems like you and I are going to have to come to an agreement somewhere, or else this movie will be number one on this list.
It deserves it.
Die Hard does not deserve to be anywhere near next on this list.
Thank you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
right.
I don't think it should be number one.
Well,
I think it should be up there, but not there. Because I feel like there's some more movies that actually like encapsulate the spirit of Christmas and are good movies on this list. Because like, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. We wouldn't have put it on this list if it was not. But at the same time, there's other movies that are epic, that are classics, that that are good movies. Maybe Die Hard is a better movie, but Die Hard is not a better Christmas movie.
Exactly.
I would disagree with that statement.
But here's what I'd like to put out there before we walk away from putting it next. It basically falls under the exact same problem that we had with Home Alone.
Yeah,
right?
but it's a much I
I
already explained how it's a better it's better representation of Christmas and a better movie.
Well, even if you wanted to say it's a little bit better representing Christmas, because I
are you
honestly
saying
could agree
that Jesus is only a little piece of the reason that Christmas is Christmas? Because that's blasphemy.
Your dad's gonna be so proud of you.
Because I'm getting over being sick, I'm just gonna lay out straight. Tyler, shut the fuck up. Normally I'd be willing to banter with you, but I'm kind of tired because I'm just getting over being sick. So just shut the fuck up. So what I'm gonna say is that even though we made the same arguments for Home Alone as I am with this, I do think that overall it is a really good movie. Like, as far as like really good movies, it's in the top of this list for sure. Like, just as far as movies go. As far as Christmas movie goes, like Brennan was saying, it does not beat a handful of these movies in my mind. However, it's kind of in the same camp as Home Alone, so I don't think it deserves to be much higher than Home Alone. I know that it does kind of do a little more Christmassy and a lot better movie over Home Alone, so I'm glad that we're putting it above it, but I don't think it deserves to be a ton higher than it. But I'll just leave it there because I'm fine to just go on to the next thing. However, speaking of telling Tyler to shut the fuck up, Tyler, tell us about your scalding hot take. I'm very curious.
Yeah, we never got to that.
Yeah, A Christmas Story is not good. I I don't like that movie. I know that's like a fucking sin because everyone just fucking beats off to that movie every year. Like, A Christmas Story is the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and it's the best. I don't know. I watched it. I was not impressed. Like, I'd seen parts of it throughout the years. I'd never like gone out of my way to watch it because it never looked that interesting to me. And I watched it last week, and man, I was just so fucking bored the whole time. I was just like, this movie is drag. Half of it doesn't have to do with Christmas, and the other half that does makes me not like Christmas. Part of that might just be because it was told like it's set in the 40s through the lens of someone in the 80s, which is just two of the worst time periods. So like,
you say after praising Die Hard from the 80s.
That's an exception. But I don't know. I like get this. That everyone thinks A Christmas Story is like the greatest thing of all time, but like I don't think that I will ever choose to watch that of my own volition ever again unless there is like some kind of cash prize I will get out of it. I really did not like it, and I know that's the spiciest take in the world, but I'm not a fan, and I'm not going to pretend that I am. So destroy me.
You are totally not wrong in the fact that is indeed a sin. I'm pretty sure God was rooting for you there for a bit. But after that, he immediately takes that back. I mean, this movie, like for me, I mean, obviously your mileage definitely varies. I think Kyle's in my camp here. The movie is like the epitome of a Christmas classic. Because granted, like you said, a lot of it doesn't really have to do with Christmas, but it kind of centers more around like a kid in the time of Christmas. Of course, like a lot of stuff does allude to Christmas. I mean, the whole point of the movie is for him to get the Red Ryder BB gun,
right?
Which he almost shoots his own eye out when they tell him you're going to shoot your eye out, and he says, "No, I'm not going to shoot my eye out." But like the scene where he's like with Santa Claus, and he asks for it because Santa Claus, like he like chokes, he's like having stage fright, he's getting sweaty. And Santa Claus is like, "Oh, I'll just give you a football." And then he like sets it down, and then the kid's like, "Wait, no, I actually got to like step up and say something here." So he's like climbing back up the slide, and he's telling Santa Claus like what he wants, and Santa Claus is like, "You'll shoot your eye out, kid." And then just fucking like pushes it down the slide. Like, I know like just that scene alone has hit a bunch of people like square in the wheelhouse, because I know a ton of folks that like, they're in that exact same situation where they're going to tell Santa what they want, and then they get stage fright, and they don't tell Santa what they want, and then it's just like for me, like that hit home, and like that's only like just one taste of like what happens in this movie that's like Christmas oriented. Like
that's fair.
Which that scene has way more to do with Christmas than Die Hard does in the whole thing.
That's a lie.
That is not a lie.
You're telling me that corporate greed is more important than Jesus of Nazareth? I don't know, man. That seems a little like a spicy take. I don't know.
It's crazy that the reason that Die Hard is linked to Jesus is based in another whole entire film saga that Alan Rickman just happens to be in as Snape.
Also, there's Christmas trees in that movie. They're all Christmas songs.
There's
and
Christmas
they're decking
trees.
the halls with each other's blood, and it's
a Christmas
magical.
tree in my backyard. Yeah, look at my house is a Christmas.
Have prepped to defend this movie, Tyler?
I'm just saying, I would rather watch Die Hard 100 times in a row and not be able to watch another movie than have to watch Christmas Story once.
And that's fine. That's your opinion, but
also, another reason that Christmas Story is a bad movie You remember that one scene where like the mom is trying to get like the little boy to like eat his fucking food or whatever, and then he's just like, who's my little piggy? And then he's just like, and then he does that, and it's just like really awkward long takes of
Really
like the
long.
mom just like laughing at him and saying weird shit, and him like snorting his potatoes through his nose and looking up and like smiling and laughing, and it goes on for so uncomfortably long. That was the point that in that movie that I was like, I don't know if I could sit through the whole thing. Why is like, A, why is this scene necessary at all? And B, who edited this and was just like, yeah, we need like 10 whole seconds of this.
I think I need to have another 20 seconds of the dad going and hearing in the background.
Yeah.
It really...
And Die Hard doesn't have that, so therefore Die Hard is better.
All right, so I've let you two talk about this for a while. Brennan.
Yo.
Unfortunately, I'm actually in Tyler's camp on this.
Yes.
So wait. When you say that
About Christmas Story. About A Christmas Story, not about Die Hard. I still think Die Hard should be next, but with The Christmas Story, I'm not in the exact same camp as Tyler, because I do respect The Christmas Story. I also, of all of these movies, when we came up with this idea to do this, I had not seen A Christmas Story. And it's because I grew up in a household that didn't really like A Christmas Story. They were like, it's an okay movie, meh. And we just never went out of our way to watch it during the Christmas season. And so I just never ended up watching it. Right. And I've always just known that my family was like, meh, about it. So I was like, meh, I won't check it out. And then we did this, and I was like, I finally have a reason to check this out. So today I sat down with Kelsey. Kelsey even went, oh, yeah, I remember kind of liking this movie. And I was like, all right, let's watch it. And today we sat down right before we recorded this, and we watched it. And at the end, we looked at each other and went, eh. And it's... and... It really just goes on for so long with all right, so I pull this up right on HBO Max, and I look at the description of it, and it's this is the abridged version, but it's a boy wants a BB gun for Christmas, and that's all the fucking synopsis is. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting that's all the synopsis is, but maybe it's just kind of like, I don't want to tell you too much about the movie. I'm watching the movie, and I watched an hour-and-a-half movie about this kid wanting a BB gun, and then just the rest of his life playing out around the idea that he wants a BB gun. And, like, don't get me wrong, a lot of moments in that were pretty cute. Like, I loved all the little like, in-his-head moments, like, with him, like, going out and shooting the bad guys. I thought that was really cute. The one with, like, him, like... The scene with it, like her grading the papers felt like it went on a really long time, that little like fantasy. And I think that's kind of like the general feeling I have about this movie. So much of it went on for so uncomfortably long. Like they kept cutting back to that kid in line right before that Santa scene going, I like Santa. And it just kept on coming back to him, and I was like, you could have done this once or twice and I would have been fine. But now he's just talking for a long time. And it's just like, it's just then Ralphie going,
yeah.
And then it cuts to something else. And I'm like, why did we hang around so long?
There are so many moments in that movie of just like Ralphie standing there not really doing anything.
Right?
And it just like right. And it like it does it long enough to like get to like make the point come across that like he's awkward or whatever. But then like it just hangs on them for like even longer than necessary to like establish that. And then it just makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, am I supposed to be the one like switching over to the next scene? Like why are we just sitting here watching this kid breathe? I don't understand how this is pivotal to the plot. I don't know.
That scene with her grading the test, that fantasy he has, is like the perfect example of that. Like it cuts back to him standing there going, and then like you can still hear like the clapping or whatever about when he got like carried out of the room and whatnot, and he's just standing there like looking off in the distance like, yeah. And then she was like, and he just keeps looking at her like, yeah. As he's walking back to his seat, I'm like, you don't have to hang on this for this long.
Yeah.
Like, I got that he's awkward. Like, we can cut away. But I will say, as much as I'm kind of like ragging on the movie, I do think it's a pretty cute movie. It definitely like, gives me like that Christmassy vibe all over the place in it, though. I do think it really, really could have been done in like an hour and 10 minutes instead of an hour and like 35 minutes or whatever. But like, the fact that there's a narrator all over the place really like drags it out too. Like the narrator just kind of talks for a while here and there, and like it's really helpful a lot of the time. But sometimes he's just describing his situation for an oddly long time.
I guess.
And like
I
things like that.
I liked the narration. That was like one of the parts of the movie
yeah.
I actually thought was a good idea.
Well, and like don't get me wrong, like I think it was a good idea. Like it definitely like helped channel like that like feeling of like those claymation Christmas movies that we talked about last year. You know, where like there's like that narrator over talking over. It kind of gave it that vibe a little bit, and I liked that. It kind of made me feel like a little bit more in that realm. But I just feel like sometimes he was just there too much, and I was just like, you probably didn't need to be here to talk about how he doesn't like the taste of this soap for 5 minutes. Like,
yeah, that is a thing. There's just so much unnecessary shit in that movie that just makes it last so much longer than it needs to. And I think that was what mainly made it so difficult to sit through for me, because there were just so many points in the movie where like things had been happening for a while that were just so mundane and unnecessary, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, what is this movie? But
yeah, I found myself checking how much time was left in the movie many times.
Yeah, which isn't a good sign.
It isn't a good sign, but I'm not saying I didn't enjoy myself, because I did. I liked it. I thought it was cute. I enjoyed the Christmassy vibes. I think a lot of the things kind of gave it that magical aspect, like him having these daydreams, him like actually going through like kind of... It had a nice balance of like Christmassy scenarios and like relatable kid moments that I think is really nice for a kid to watch as a Christmas movie. However, overall, it just like kind of goes on, and like the plot is just, at the end of the day, the plot is just him going through life up until Christmas, and then getting the gift, and then the thing happens that they've been saying the whole time. And I'm not saying that's stupid predictable, but it was. Can
I ask you this?
Yeah.
Which is better between live action Grinch and A Christmas Story?
Oh, it's Grinch.
I'm gonna also say Grinch.
I think it's Grinch. And I know that this is a scalding hot take, but I kind of hope that the fact that the majority of us are in this camp helps people, because like, don't get me wrong, if people were just like, it's a nice Christmas movie, it's nice, I would be like, cool, whatever. But there is such an overwhelming amount of people that are like, this film is the soul of Christmas, and I just can't understand how so many people... Like, I went on, like, a movie review website after I finished watching it, and there were so many 5 out of 5s, and they're like, this is the greatest Christmas movie of all time. And that was the whole review. And I was like, that doesn't mean this movie was good. Like, what? Like, so many... There's just, like, this really weird thing in people's mind that, like, if it gave me Christmas feels at all, that means it's the best. Thus, it's the perfect movie. And you need to separate that a little bit in your head. Because I'll give you that it's a decent Christmas movie. Definitely deserves to be on this list above some of these others. But it's not that good. It's not that good. It just is nice. It's a nice movie.
Oh. Well,
I'm sorry, Brennan. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
You really thought it was in your camp, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a twist. I can't wait.
That was a nice twist. I was expecting both of you to just fucking crucify me. No. And like...
I mean, that or the Grinch, I'd probably still pick A Christmas Story, but I mean, that's just...
It's fair.
I'm gonna throw out some shit.
Oh no.
I think Jingle All the Way is at the bottom, right? I think it should be Home Alone next, Christmas Story next, Grinch next.
What about Muppets? Where do they fit in?
Oh yeah.
I don't think they're... Well...
Here's the thing about Muppets.
Wait a minute. We're just moving away from Die Hard here.
Yeah, because Die Hard's not next.
Yeah,
Die Hard's not next.
Die Hard's not next.
How are we living? This is so weird. You live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Like, I've always said that Die Hard's a great Christmas movie, but I didn't mean it like the best actual Christmas movie.
Oh, but
I just like it as a Christmas movie.
But like, it actually is. Like, I know, even if you don't want that to be reality, like, that's... We're probably gonna get to that point. It's not next. It's not.
This
it's not
is my
even close
Joker
to
moment. No.
Muppet Christmas Carol. Here's the thing. Like, do you think that Kermit the Frog represents Christmas better than the savior of, humanity?
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Here, Brennan, you know what? Before we even do this, Brennan, I want to ask you a question. Which is a better Christmas movie, A Christmas Story, or Die Hard?
A better Christmas movie?
Yes.
Don't let his words. Don't
and
let
that
his
is what we are
phrasing
ranking.
deceive you.
We are
you
ranking what is the best
Look.
Christmas movie, live action. And
Live
I still
action.
think A Christmas Story is a better Christmas movie than Die Hard.
Fuck, I think Die Hard's a better Christmas movie than any of the animated ones we talked about last year.
You are so hung up in the fact that it's a good movie. Brennan, please. I need some help here. I know I just kind of shattered your heart with the Christmas Story thing, but let's be real here,
Yeah,
right?
he hurt you. Don't take
and me,
his side.
bro to bro. A Christmas Story is a better Christmas movie than Die Hard, right?
It's not.
Isn't it?
Yes and no.
Oh,
yes.
No.
Well, I mean,
say.
it's just based on your question. Yes, A Christmas Story dunks on Die Hard as far as like being like an actual Christmas movie. But Die Hard is a way better film than A Christmas Story could ever aspire to be. And like, granted, yeah, we're kind of going outside of the box of the argument here, but
Why?
Because it
why?
Why are we going outside of the box of the argument? The point is we're ranking Christmas movies.
Yeah, but you know what else
Continue,
goes out of the
Brennan,
box?
continue. I'm sorry.
Christmas itself. You're always tearing boxes up and taking the presents out of them, and that present in this scenario is Die Hard.
up.
We're removing it from the box and enjoying
Brennan,
it.
I'm sorry
and
for
that's
cutting
the
you
spirit
off.
of
It
Christmas.
just led into that terrible way to try to defend himself. Brennan, please continue.
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't after hearing you guys out and like understanding like the gripes of A Christmas Story, there's no way I could justify putting Die Hard beneath A Christmas Story.
What?
Thank
no
you.
way.
Thank you.
Guys,
no way.
okay, I know that I helped put A Christmas Story low, but let it be known on the internet, I think A Christmas Story is a better Christmas movie
Okay,
than fucking
let
Die Hard.
it be known you're going
Well, if
against
you guys-
your own words.
If you guys didn't like, if you wouldn't have like Kyle, if you wouldn't have went
I'm
against
not going
me,
against my own words. I'm going off of what we're actually
went-
ranking. If we were ranking movies,
God,
I'd be saying Die Hard was better.
And look,
Kyle,
and
we
that's the
went
thing.
and beat Christmas Story over the head with a fucking 9-iron, and then we're like, hey, that's better than this other thing, right? Even though
I
this
literally
kid I just
said
slaughtered
it's
in
a
the
good,
street.
it's
That's
a
better than
nice
this other
Christmas
thing you
movie.
like.
I said it's a nice Christmas movie, and I think Die Hard has Christmas in it for a total of like a minute. And that's
The
not,
whole movie is Christmas. Have you watched Die Hard? I don't think you've watched Die Hard.
I love Die Hard. This sucks because it makes it seem like I hate Die Hard. I love this movie. I've watched Die Hard like 20 times. I love this movie. But when we're talking about Christmas movies, it deserves to be on this list. It's a really good Christmas movie. But A Christmas Story channels the Christmas spirit and energy better than Die Hard does.
In your opinion, but it's also a fact that it's a worse movie, so we're going to have to put Die Hard above it.
That's not what we're here to rank.
Hey, I'm just saying, this is the way this works. You've been outvoted. This is how it goes.
Oh my God.
So, again,
This was a mistake.
We need a
I'm
recap.
going
What's
to
our
ask.
recap?
Please give us a recap.
give us a
Where are
recap.
we
The only
at
thing
now?
we've locked in is fucking Jingle All the Way at the bottom. I can't recap anything
no,
because
no, no.
we have
Because you keep bringing up more movies.
So I think it's Jingle All the Way at 9th.
Yes.
Home Alone at 8th. I guess
Yes.
we're going A Christmas Story at 7. Right?
I would like that.
Well,
If
what else is around there? What else is around there?
Apologies.
I'm going to say that I would like. Well, because here's the thing. I know I said that the Grinch is like the worst of the three Grinches, but do we think that it's better than some of these other movies we haven't talked about yet?
I think it is.
Because I kind of think it is too, even though I'm shooting myself in the foot a little bit here. But like,
no,
because like
I'd like to put up something to you guys because it's like my biggest variable of this. I did not get the chance to rewatch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when prepping for this. I just ran out of time. As you could tell, I was sick. It just kind of cut me out of commission. I didn't get through everything. I watched it like when I was 7, and so I don't really remember a lot about it. I remember enjoying it and getting a good laugh. But I want to put it out to you guys because if I'm being honest with you, from what I remember about it, it lands right around here.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
But I'm going to let it to you guys because I'm sure you guys like kind of know more about it. Like you've probably seen it more recently than me, I'm assuming. If you haven't, well, we're all fucked. But I remember liking it. I remember it giving me like a Christmassy vibe, getting a good laugh out of it. Chevy Chase is like likable. But I don't know. I don't remember it being like overly Christmassy to me that like I imagine it being any high. Like it doesn't beat Grinch to me in just like my thinking. But I want to leave that to you guys to talk about. Like kind of sell me on it if you think it's higher or agree with me that it's here, I guess.
I think that this is a Christmas story if it was entertaining.
Okay. Interesting.
It's sort of in the same vein of like sort of how Christmas Story is just about like a kid around Christmas time. Like this is literally like a family during like Christmas, or like the family comes to stay with them, and it just sort of like it's a good representation of like not necessarily like an accurate depiction of Christmas because it is very over the top. But it kind of shows off the more like realistic, like chaotic nature of Christmas, with like having to deal with like family members that you don't necessarily want to be around, and you know you're trying to make it like this perfect thing, and it can never actually be that, and you know stuff always comes up, and then like with all of that, it's still hitting you with some funny jokes and some funny extra stuff. So like I think that to me, I think it does a really good job of sort of hitting the Christmas feels, you know. I think it's not hilarious because it is quite dated. But there are some pretty iconic bits in it. There are some parts that I found funny. Brennan, are you alive?
I haven't even seen you yet, and did I already give you whatever I had? I love that now, we haven't ever talked about this, but now that we're on like face cam, there's no way to hide this, that we're doing that. Like back when we were just audio only, there were moments where I got up and I peed, like I had to cough or something. If I just muted myself for a second, you'd never know. But it's really hard if there's no sound and we're just like,
no, it's okay. I'll just dub it. I'll dub it with Christmas sounds. He's got a case of the Christmas spirit.
I muted my mic after a minute.
Oh, don't you worry. We're dubbing it with Christmas music. I'm gonna cough enough in this that you're not gonna actually want to do that, but like it's whatever. So, anyways, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's kind of where I'm at with National Lampoon. Like it's not my favorite thing ever. I've only even started watching it over the last few years, because my girlfriend likes it, so we watch it together. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I can kind of go either way on it. I'm not, like, hugely attached to it. I definitely think it's better than Jingle All the Way and A Christmas Story.
Gotcha.
So,
it's kind of where I'm feeling, too. But, like I said, I wanted to get your input. So I'm kind of glad to...
I definitely want to hear Brennan's opinions on this, though. Because we have literally never talked about this movie together.
I mean, I've only seen it a handful of times over my life. And... I gotta say, the last time I saw it was probably an easy 10 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Yeah, I mean...
That's not how I watched
it 2 weeks ago.
I mean, it's a good movie. I think Tyler kind of hits the nail on the head that, like... Because, like, Cousin Eddie's, he's a dipshit.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it seems like Chevy Chase can't even stand his own kids, but... I mean... It is good at, like... You know, relaying the message of, you know, okay, like my family is a bunch of assholes, or like, you know, maybe they're like unpleasant people, but you know, like the power and like spirit of Christmas kind of overpowers all that. That and plus, I think it is hilarious. It's like in its time, it's hilarious. Now it's a little dated.
Yeah.
I mean, I always kind of put it in the same boat as A Christmas Story. I mean, because it's in a similar vein in the fact that like there's a lot of like relatability, if that's a word, like in it. Because I mean, it's like it's a Christmas movie that revolves around like family and like I don't really like these people, but they're my family, and I gotta buy them Christmas gifts, and you know, my asshole cousin's here. Yeah, I don't know. Like I haven't seen it in a minute, but from what I remember of it, it is a pretty solid film.
Yeah, I could honestly, because I think the fact that we kind of keep comparing it to Christmas Story, I feel like it should just go right above Christmas Story in the ranking, because it pretty much is just a better version of the Christmas Story.
A lot of people are going to hate that, but I'm all right with this, because that's kind of, if I'm being honest with you, like, everything that you said about it just kind of is like what, like those little bits that I remember about it, and I just wanted to kind of validation about it, and I think we kind of came to a consensus, so I'm totally down to put it next.
Cool.
If you guys are.
Like, and then
after
I
Christmas
think
Story.
the next two should be, not necessarily in this order, but I think the next two, live action Grinch is here. Like, we've hit its time. And Muppet Christmas Carol. I think these are the two that are next. Because...
What number are we even at?
What?
So what number are we even at?
So Jingle All the Way was 9. Home Alone was 8. Christmas Story was 7. National Lampoon was 6.
Wow, so I'm pretty sure I literally said Grinch should be like 4 or 5. I'm pretty sure is what I said in like a
So it is either going to be 4 or 5 if we stick with this. Because here's the thing, Muppet Christmas Carol is like, it's got a good soundtrack. Like, it's a pretty nice musical. I'm not a huge fan of the Muppets in general. I've always found them kind of like annoying and creepy. Never been a huge fan of them.
You're just spitting the hot takes. Wow.
I know.
This is your episode for
I mean, this isn't that hot of a take if you know me.
I actually agree with Tyler. I always kind of hated
Holy shit, look at us
Muppets.
just randomly taking sides on hot takes here, because I loved the Muppets growing up. I wasn't like, Muppets, wow! But like, I like Muppets.
I like Kermit for the memes, but like, as an actual thing, I don't really enjoy him. But yeah, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Like, I always shit on Muppet Christmas Carol just because my mom thinks it's the best Christmas movie ever. And I just never want to watch it because we always have to watch it when I come home for the holidays. But I think objectively it is probably one of the best versions of A Christmas Carol. It smokes the Mickey version by a lot. It's probably it's a lot more enjoyable than a lot of the more serious ones, because like I think A Christmas Carol, when it's just like a direct adaptation, is just like way too, like, it doesn't feel like Christmas to me, because it's just an old man in olden times in like plague infested England prancing around with ghosts. Like, it's a very strange thing. I think like the Muppet version makes it feel more Christmassy and more fun, just because there's Muppets and musical numbers mixed in. Also, Michael Caine is a phenomenal actor, and he is the best Scrooge that there has ever been. Facts. In my opinion. Might be a hot take, but of all the Christmas Carol variations I've seen, he is the best Scrooge. I mean, he is just Michael like a top tier actor in general. But
dude, Michael Caine, welcome to the podcast.
Whoa,
some man can't be racing with.
You're right. Like Tyler about his Die Hard opinions. Thanks, Michael Caine, for taking my side on that. Anyways.
Die Hard is a great movie.
Anyways. No, Michael! So anyways. I still think Die Hard should be next. But this is fine. Actually, you know what? I am going to kind of stand up for a second. I mean, I have done it all over the place here. But I actually do think, like, everything before this has had, like, Christmas things in them, but, like, they also are kind of relatable in things. Some of them do it better than others, like how National Lampoon's and Christmas Story does it better than, like, Jingle All the Way and Home Alone. and Die Hard. But now that we're getting to Muppet Christmas Carol and The Grinch, where I think they like legitimately do give me that Christmas vibe like a good bit. Like we're finally at that point. I think it's time. I kind of think it's time, guys. I think we put Die Hard in 5th.
Well,
okay.
Future me editing this episode, put up the meme. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Die Hard is not next.
Are we for real? Like, Brennan, are you for real? Do you think it's a better Christmas movie than A Muppet Christmas Carol and The Grinch?
Well, I hate the Muppets, so yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Grinch?
I kind of was thinking Muppet was going to be next anyways, and then The Grinch above it. You can't actually think that Die Hard is a better Christmas movie than The Grinch, right? Are you really gonna let this happen, Brennan?
There are not 2 better versions of Die Hard. There's like 6 worse versions of Die Hard, but there are 2 better versions of The Grinch. So
that doesn't matter here. We're talking about these movies.
It kind of matters.
And then like the whole minute of Christmassiness that's in Die Hard does not.
Again, I don't think you've seen Die Hard because you keep saying there's a minute of Christmas. The whole
obviously
movie
that's an exaggeration. That's obviously an exaggeration. There's obviously a little bit more than Christmas in that.
The entire core of the plot revolves around Christmas. You cannot have Die Hard without Christmas. They've tried it. It hasn't worked. They keep pumping them out. They're all terrible. Christmas is the reason that the first one is good and the others aren't.
Look, not only am I letting it happen, but I am fully supporting it.
Yes.
Oh, dude. Yes. This is so dumb.
Brandon knows the truth.
Look, this is just like me when we had our Thanksgiving thing last year, and you guys were pushing gravy, and I'm like, "What? Gravy is not even a food; it is an additive to food. Like it just makes food better."
Okay.
Yes, so and Die Hard makes Christmas better.
All right. To save people my screaming, we're not talking about Die Hard yet. It's Muppets and Grinch. I think Grinch is better than Muppet.
I agreed.
Because I think, like, to some people, like you two, the Muppets aren't as enjoyable to watch. Even though they do help imbue The Christmas Carol with more Christmassy energy, they're not, like, the most entertaining to watch to some people. Also, like we were talking about before, that Grinch is just, like, such a cool thing that happened in life. Like, that lightning in the bottle thing that we talked about. It's so cool. Jim Carrey as the Grinch is something we'll probably never see anything like again. Like, the way he is just able to animate himself as a live-action person is so cool. I think that it should be higher, but it's fine. Not much higher. I just think it should be above Die Hard. But, so I'm down to lock that as in 5 and 4, which leaves us with only 3 movies.
Yes, we are left with Elf, the Santa Claus, and Die Hard. So
I'm amazed Santa Claus hasn't been brought up in all this.
Here's the thing. I think Santa Claus is next.
Yes.
Because, like, Santa Claus is a good movie. It is, like, it encapsulates the spirit of Christmas so well. And, like, the concept of it is, Kyle, I don't know why you're stressing out. I'm talking good things about this movie. It's, you know, the concept of it where, like, Santa, Tim Allen accidentally kills Santa and then, like, has to become Santa because that's, like, how that works. Like, that's just such a cool concept. It is probably the best of the 3.
Yeah.
So it deserves to be above the live-action Grinch because we're only talking about the first one and the sequels aren't as good.
Second one was pretty good, but not as good as the first. Santa Claus, sorry.
Yeah.
I know you started talking about something else.
Anyways. Admittedly, I have not watched the Santa Claus in a while. This is one that I didn't have a chance to go back and rewatch this year. But I have seen the entire trilogy. I think that they're magical and wonderful and great, and they make me feel all the Christmas feels. But I don't think it comes anywhere close to Elf or Die Hard. Elf is like a Christmas staple. It is like the Christmas movie in my opinion. Elf is immaculate. It's actually funny. Like, Will Ferrell is a comedy genius, and the fact that they just kind of let him like run around and be an ass, like, it's just, it works perfectly. Like, his childlike innocence that he like portrays, the concept of a kid being raised by elves and then going into New York City is just fucking genius. Even more genius than the Santa Claus plot. And they're both really, really good ideas for movies, and they're both executed very well, and that's why these are near the top of the list. Because they're both just really, really done really well. I think Elf gets an extra bit of the edge because they modeled all of the costumes off of Rudolph and all of the classic animated ones, so that gives it some extra Christmas spice. Yeah. But yeah, Elf is just one of those movies that I can't not watch it every Christmas because it's just so good. It's a good movie. It is a perfect Christmas movie. There's nothing wrong about it.
What sucks is I agree with literally everything you just said, but because of the timeline that we are living in right now, I know what these two things are up against to you two. I just really hate that we're here. I legitimately do think, though, Santa Claus and Elf are the two best movies on this list. Because coming from the guy that doesn't think Die Hard should be here. I love Die Hard. I'm going to keep saying it every time I fight it, but I do love Die Hard. Elf and Santa Claus are able to make a good movie and a Christmas movie at the same time, through and through. You can kind of argue against that with Santa Claus a little bit. I can see arguments for that, but I think overall they're just, like you said, really great ideas for Christmas movies. The fact that your dad accidentally fucking destroys Santa and then he becomes Santa, and then you have this hectic scenario that you're in that's literally you can't, with A Christmas Story, having a kid want a BB gun for Christmas is Christmas, sure, but the fact that your father has become Santa Claus, you are so fucking shoved into the Christmas spirit with that scenario that you can't get out, and I love it. And even where they went with it in the next movies, the idea of Jack Frost coming in and the fucking evil toy Santa, those are just really good ideas. Were they as good of movies as the first one? No, but it's okay. There were still cool ideas, and I love it. It's just a really cool little series of movies. It's one of oddly enough, it's kind of what I remember Tim Allen for almost the most from my childhood, just because of how much I watched these movies when I was younger. Partly because I didn't even realize he was Buzz Lightyear, right?
Yeah, he's Buzz.
Yeah, he's Buzz.
That was it. I was I had a moment where I was is he Woody or Buzz? He's Buzz, right?
Yeah, he's Buzz.
Tom Hanks is Woody.
But anyways, I just didn't realize he was even Buzz for a while. So if I did know that, that'd be what I remember him for most. But anyways, I really love his movies. However, like you said, Tyler, Elf is just the perfect Christmas movie. I know that some people don't love Will Ferrell. I know some people just think he's kind of annoying, but in this movie, I think he reins it in a little bit, and you've been fighting for Jesus Christ and Die Hard this whole time, Tyler. You can't sigh at that.
I can't. You're trying to win us over to your side, and then you hit us with shit like that, and now I'm just well.
Shit like that.
You tied Die Hard into Jesus! Anyways.
While using a different film saga.
It exists.
A different movie. I don't want to hear fucking any criticism for your stupid ass. Alright, so...
Yeah, finally, let it loose, Kyle.
I feel like you have a lot of just years of pent up rage built up at me, and this is the thing that sent you over the edge.
Because I think it's just because I'm really tired from being sick these last couple of days that usually I'd be down to banter with you a little bit about it and be haha, you're clever, but man. Shut the fuck up about this stupid Die Hard pitch of Jesus Christ.
I will shut up when I win, Kyle.
Brennan, please don't let him win. Anyway,
we'll see. We'll see.
Elf is the best Christmas movie on this list. Hands down. There is no debating it at all.
Well,
this movie has so much Christmas spirit in it, while also being entertaining as fuck, doing it well, not overdoing it like Will Ferrell does sometimes. They kind of do it right. They have like this really cool like ugly duckling-esque thing that goes on that they kind of shove that narrative into. Like there's just so many like little narratives that they throw into this. The love story, the awkward love story, the elf fitting into like the modern world, the ugly ducking of the elf doesn't belong, like the lost family. Like there's just so many cool themes, all on top of the fact that like this ending is just like super Christmasly, like Christmas magic, inspiring all these people to love Christmas again. It's also like really realistic, and like it's just like it does it all so well. It's like literally the best Christmas movie.
He swims on a gumdrop.
Okay, so not all of it's realistic, but
anyway, Brennan,
you're telling me all of Die Hard's realistic?
Better than Elf?
Well, I think both movies are better than Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I think Santa Claus is a pretty solid pick for number 3. But Elf is number 1.
Yes!
Simply,
oh my god!
Finally.
Oh my god!
So,
holy shit!
Honestly, though, I agree. I just wanted to keep the joke to it by Kyle.
You don't agree at all, Tyler. I'm not going to accept anything you say.
That's why I asked Brennan, because I don't actually have an argument anymore.
All right, so
I was hoping you'd come up with something to really take it home, because I'm out of juice. I like
Die Hard. Die Hard is probably the best movie, hands down, in this list. Okay.
Well, but
Elf literally is Christmas. Like, I mean, it's hilarious. Like, it's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, but also like totally embodies like the spirit of Christmas, and like, you know, him looking for his dad and all that stuff, and a love story, and like, you know, the narwhal saying like, "Oh, I hope you find your dad." Like, it's just like all of that shit like packed into one excellent package is like hands down the best Christmas movie of all time. Like there is no comparison Christmas wise. I mean, Santa Claus is probably obviously the closest in this list. I mean, like, you would have to go, and I know we axed a couple of these movies, but like the only movie I think that like touches Elf, that sounds wrong, but the only movie that like comes close to Elf, like, I mean, obviously it doesn't really fit the list, but something like A Christmas Story, like something that is like literally Christmas in that sense. Elf is literally Christmas, but hilarious and a good movie. Die Hard is phenomenal. Obviously, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Or if you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, yippee-kayak, other buckets. Like,
I forgot about that.
Like, the movie is a masterpiece. And yes, it is a Christmas movie. I don't care who the fuck you are. It is. Like, just shut the fuck up. But the buck stops here. Elf is a superior Christmas movie. So, Die Hard has to be number 2. Elf has to be number 1.
Thank God. And honestly, as much as I was against it this whole time, if this makes people like think Die Hard's a Christmas movie more than they did before, we're winning today. We won. Because I do think that like Die Hard should be considered a Christmas movie.
It should be. Like I said, the core of the plot is centered around Christmas. He wouldn't have been in that situation had it not been at a Christmas party.
Yeah. You're right. And honestly, the point that you brought up that kind of hit me the hardest was every time they've tried to do it not with Christmas, it just doesn't work. And you're right. Christmas saves Die Hard.
That's the reason that it hasn't been successful since. Not because trying to make a sequel to a movie like that is a bad idea, but because they removed Christmas from the equation.
Because they removed Christmas. That's all it was, which makes it a Christmas movie. Obviously. All right. Well, I'm glad we've come to the conclusion.
Sorry, Jesus. Die Hard is 2, but you know what? It was a good run.
Oh man, yeah. God is pumped that Die Hard has made it this far. Finally, Tyler.
It's okay.
Tyler has seen his revelation.
God likes Elf better. Also,
God has to like Elf, right?
God loves Elf,
probably
for sure.
I don't know,
but yeah,
any of you who are better Christians than me, ask him and let us know in the comments below.
Say, dear God, do you like Elf? Like,
I don't have a direct connection.
Oh my God! I just can see like a family, the young children around their mom. Everyone, pray before Christmas morning, and they're just like, dear God, is Die Hard better than Elf?
Then God's looking around. He's like, I got a really, really spicy hot take, but
he's like, Home Alone is way better than these other ones.
he has the leg lamp like behind him in his window.
Plot twist of the century: God's pick is Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
He's a big
Arnold guy. He's
yeah.
the best.
Oh, he loves him some Arnie.
He's like, yeah, the end sequence where the mailman dresses up like the villain and takes on Arnold dressed as a superhero really is just like accurate representation of the dynamic between me and Satan. It's just the climactic battle. It's all there.
That whole movie's actually just secretly a retelling of the Bible. Like that. And they always just slid in the
Everything's just metaphorical. Oh my God.
All right, we're gonna stop this. Okay, we're gonna recap and we're gonna close it out.
Well, Christmas.
Jesus Christ. Here's the official ranking of the live action Christmas movies. Number 9 is Jingle All the Way. Number 8 is Home Alone. Number 7 is A Christmas Story. Number 6 is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Number 5 is A Muppet Christmas Carol. Number 4 is the live-action Grinch. Number 3 is The Santa Claus. Number 2 is Die Hard. And number 1 is Elf. We did it.
God.
It's pretty solid.
God, Elf is number 1.
Everyone do a Christmas dab. Woo! Now everyone do a dab for God.
Jesus. I love Jesus.
The most religious episode we've ever had.
Wow.
Probably not in a good way.
I don't know if that's...
This is a blurring of the lines between church and state.
I don't know if that's...
This is the closest thing to a church service I've attended in years.
This is us grasping for straws.
Oh my God.
Maybe it doesn't need a label. Maybe it's just blasphemy. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas.
Maybe this episode is going to be described as just bad. And you could let us know in the comments below by typing out, this was bad. And we'll know.
Kyle was right about Die Hard, and I'd like you.
Let us know how correct we were about Die Hard and how much you love Die Hard in the comments below. Also, like this video if you like Die Hard. And like it twice if you hate Die Hard. And also subscribe if you know that Die Hard is a movie. And then you can go back and watch our last year's Christmas ranking where we did the animated movies, which was also a fun time. If you haven't checked that out. And that'd be great. Kyle, you're pointing. What do you want? What do you need? What's going on?
Dislike this video if you think Jingle All the Way should have been higher. And no one will know because they got rid of the dislike counter.
That's right!
What a great decision!
Our hater has no power now. Fuck you.
Hater has no power. You have no power here.
That's why they did the change. Was for our
it was
one.
Like they have a person who keeps disliking their stuff. We gotta shut them down.
It definitely wasn't the literally tens of millions of people that disliked YouTube's own videos. Yeah. It was because of our one.
Definitely
hater.
Wasn't that.
Anyway,
these hardworking boys didn't have a 100% like rate anymore.
Gosh darn it, the Toxlot boys need justice! So we're gonna get rid of the dislike counter. Alrighty. Well, I'm honestly glad we did this, though.
I'm glad we did it, too. It was something. And,
God, it was something.
Man, we did it. This is the end of the episode. Guys, do you have any Christmas wishes you would like to bestow upon the internet right now?
Well, I'm going to go first because every time you try to ask this and I try to let Brennan go first, Tyler cuts us off and ends the episode.
It happened once, but okay.
I think it's happened twice. I don't know, whatever. I wish you all a great holidays, everything. I hope that you can see your loved ones. I hope you're all very healthy and safe. I hope, all things considered, you guys are just having a great time this holidays, and we'll see you next Christmas season. Ooh, I wonder what we're gonna do next year.
Ooh.
Tell us what you think we should do, because we love suggestions. We have ideas, but you should let us know what you want us to do for our next Christmas one. So
that's actually a good idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope you guys all have a very safe, a very merry Christmas. I know what's coming up on the last couple years has been pretty wild, and nobody foresaw this coming, so I hope you guys are all safe. I hope you're all healthy. I hope, you're all doing well in your lives outside of, coming here to watch us, bullshit about stuff. But those of you who comment on our videos, those of you who, take the time out of your day to check out our content, just a massive thank you. We know there's a few of you that are recurring, watchers. There's some people that maybe this is the first episode they've seen. If you're if you're either one of these people, we didn't realize we'd have like this kind of audience this quickly. So, thank you. What we had as a passion project, some people are actually paying attention to. So thank you guys very much and have a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Everyone have good Christmas. If you happen, I hope you live, but if you happen to die, do it hard. Bye.